Hello everyone, this is Steven. I'm going to have a small video coverage for two vintage He-Man figures. In what I'm talking about is the two Snake Men from the Vintage Masters of the Universe. Specifically, I'm talking about Rattlor and Snake Face. Rattlor here is known as one of the famous warriors of King Hiss, who is their leader. And this particular figure came with the snake stuff, which is in brown color, and the figure itself is mostly in brown color as well, with a bit of vanilla cream color mixed in and a bit of blue. He has articulation which was normal for the toys of the 80s. He did have articulation in the arms, that they could move up and down, and there was also articulation, there is articulation in the legs, that they could bend forward and backward, but there is no articulation, let's say, in the body itself. Unlike some of the other human figures who had articulation in the waistline, this one does not. And he has a long rubbery rattle tail. One of the features he has, because in a way I would say he has two features. One of the features is that when you shake him, he makes a rattle sound that's coming roughly from the body itself, which is probably filled with small pebbles. So he imitates that way the sound of a rattlesnake. Now, at the back here, there is a button. So when you press that button, he will show you his main action feature, which is the head popping out on an extendable neck, practically making a sudden attack on the enemy, kind of like a rattlesnake would. Now, the interesting thing I should mention about this particular character in this figure is that this figure came in two versions. One version has, with the regular version, which is this one I have right here, has a yellow neck. But the variant of this character has a brown neck. I had the chance once long ago, many years back, to see the one with the brown neck. Unfortunately, I did not get it at that time, but honestly, there is not much of a difference other than the color of the neck. The figure itself is the same, the color scheme is the same, of course, as I said, except for the neck itself, and the weapon is the same. Now, the way you could just put the head back is to simply just push it down until it clicks, and then the head is back in. That's as far as the Rattler goes. And the second figure here is the Snake Face. So we can see him up close here. Snake Face came with a snake-shaped shield, and also, again, a snake staff in a dark green color. He's also one of the characters, or specifically one of the warriors of King Hiss from the Vintage Masters of the Universe line made by Mattel back in the 80s. And again, he has the same type of articulation as Rattler earlier. He cannot turn in the neck, so he cannot turn the head left and right, but the arms can go 360 degrees. His legs can also move forward and backward, and they are connected with a small elastic inside the crotch area. Now, of course, that elastic over time for majority of the He-Man figures from that time period might wear out, and then there is some useful videos on YouTube that people can use to repair them. His action feature is that when you push this lever at the back of him, the red one, when you push it all the way up, the front compartments of his body, specifically the two compartments on his chest, and the face itself will reveal a lot of hidden snakes. And you can see he has snakes coming out of his eyes, out of his mouth, and from each side of the neck. And of course from the chest itself, which are in green color, while the snakes on the face are represented in red color. In order to push the snakes back in, you just push the lever back down, and the snakes go down. So once more, this is when the snakes go out. Like so. And going in, out, and then in again. Very nice action feature to it. Also, would like to mention that this is one of the later releases near the end of the Vintage Masters of the Universe line, along with the characters such as Ninja, Squeeze, Scareglow, and a few other ones who were becoming more harder to find near the end of the line itself, back in the 1986-1987 time period. The only other thing I would like to mention about this figure is the fact that the arms are quite detailed and has a very rough ridges along the arm. The shield itself is very detailed in the sense that it represents snake heads connected between themselves, making a shield, and that this character is practically influenced by Greek mythology, a character called the Medusa, which is practically a female version of this character, where she would use her hair and face that's full of snakes to turn her enemies into stone. Snake Face here has the same exact powers, that when he looks at the enemy with all his snakes, if they look at him directly in the face, they will all turn to stone, meaning to stone statues. And the only usual way the He-Man defeats him is by showing him his own reflection in a shield, and when Snake Face sees himself, he will turn into stone himself. And that's usually the way to defeat him, the same way that the Medusa was defeated by Perseus in the Greek mythology. So anyway, with this one I will just conclude this short story of these two vintage Snake Man characters. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll see you again later. Bye.